seniors. I wanted to go through this study guide with you because unfortunately I'm going to have to miss another week. The doctor wants me to stay home and heal some more because standing up all day and walking around could tear stitches and things like that. So you're going to have to do another quiz on your own. This is over topic 4, which is not terribly complex and was short, but I want to go through some of these things to make sure you are all on the same page with it. I did not put any short answer questions on the quiz. It's all multiple choice, so hopefully that will be easier. 2 people still have to take that other quiz. Make sure you take that quiz. Okay, so market structures. There are 4 types. You guys filled out a chart using the Edpuzzle with those 4 types. Those 4 types are pure competition, monopolies, monopolistic competition, and oligopoly. So pure competition is when it's all competition, right? There is everybody's selling the same thing. There's no difference. So uh, the preference to buy from one person over another isn't there. Things that are sold in pure competition are farm products like corn. Corn from one field is the same as corn from another field. Stocks on the stock exchange, notebook paper, sugar, things like that. Monopolies are when there is one firm or business selling a product. The textbook uses the example of Major League Baseball because they limit how many baseball teams there can be. That's why there's no baseball team in Indianapolis, Major League Baseball team. Transit systems, which are like trains or buses, city buses. You whoops, utilities, a water company, an electric company, and then things that require patents or franchises. Monopolistic competition, that's mostly what we use. Those are companies like jeans. Jeans are jeans, but it's not pure competition because the label designer jeans, which you don't call them designer jeans anymore, but the different styles of jeans, the different maker makes the price different. Yes, they're jeans, but there are different types of jeans. And also there's the complements and substitutes that go in with monopolistic competition that control the price there. An oligopoly is when there are 4 or fewer firms in an industry. We are moving quickly to an oligopoly in this country. You think about air travel, there's a limited number of airline companies. Cereal, breakfast cereal. Pretty much you have Post, General Mills, Quaker, and then generic brands. Cars. Yeah, there's a whole lot of different cars, but fewer car makers. Household appliances, and then OPEC. OPEC is the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. There's a group of like 12 countries, and they work together to set prices for oil. Okay, those are the 4 types. So, other differences here. The textbook talks about barriers to entry a market. Why can companies come in or out? Each market kind of has their own barriers. In pure competition, it would be high startup costs, if it costs a lot of money to get into the business, or complex technology, where to do it you have to have expensive machines or computer software and things like that. In a monopoly, the barriers are patents and franchises. Patents are if you invent something, you can register a patent and no one else can make money off of it, or they'd have to pay you to use your idea. And usually those have a limited time and then they go away and anyone can use it. And then a franchise is a license to open up that firm. The textbook talks about franchises at like a national park, where McDonald's has the franchise to sell inside the national park, and that's all they're going to sell. Or if like our concession stand sells Coke products, so we have a franchise to sell Coke products. That's why there's no Dr. Pepper in our concession stand, because that's a Pepsi product. You also see franchise in like a McDonald's in town. Uh, some McDonald's are owned by the McDonald's Corporation. Some are owned by individuals who get a franchise to then open that McDonald's there and use the McDonald's brand name and recipes and all that stuff. In an oligopoly, this is those small four or less firms. Barriers can be technological, government license and patents, high startup costs, and economies of scale. So, what are economies of scale? That turned up in the other test too. That is when usually the average total cost goes down when you make more things until it rises at a certain level. Because you buy $100 pizza oven and you're selling pizzas for $10 a piece. The more pizzas you make, your average total cost goes down because it's covering the cost of the oven. Economies of scale, the production keeps falling when a firm produces more because they're making so much output that it keeps going down and down and down. It's for very big companies. In monopolistic competition, there are few barriers to entry. You want to sell jeans, you can just design your jeans and get them in the market, and then supply and demand determines your success or failure. Okay, the movement of the supply curve and the effect on price. So here's market equilibrium in a pure competition in this graph here. So there's the equilibrium price. We saw that from before. Now, if the supply increases, this whole line is going to move this way. So what does that do to the price? The quantity goes up, but the price is going to go down. So when supply increases, the price goes down. Not quantity supplied, but the whole supply line. The price will then drop. Okay, then when we talk about monopolies, there's different kinds of monopolies. A natural monopoly, that's when the market that runs most efficiently when one large firm provides all the output. A public water company. We have one water company because it would be way too expensive for other companies to dig holes to put water pipes through and have two sets of pipes, and it would tear things up. It doesn't make sense. It's not efficient. It would create competition, but it drives the price down, and then it decreases the quantity. One firm would have trouble covering the cost, so it would go out of business. It just doesn't make sense. So water companies, electric companies, the gas company. Okay, we already talked about economies of scale. It's usually big companies that have economies of scale. Government actions and market economies. How does the government get involved? That 4.4 was about government involvement in the economy. That's what makes our economy a mixed economy, not a pure capitalist economy, because we do have some government control, but we're not a command economy because we do have supply and demand in free markets. Which reminds me, one of the questions on the last test was something about why aren't command economies free? It's because to have a command economy where the government controls everything, there's bureaucracy and workers who are figuring out all those prices. It's not the invisible hand, and that costs money. Okay, but back to these government actions. Patents, which we talked about, antitrust legislation, which hopefully last year either Mr. Wright or I think you had Maslin, talked about my favorite president, Teddy Roosevelt, being the trust buster and how they went in and made laws where you can't have a single firm creating all types of things. The book talks about the phone company in the 70s and 80s being broken up. Deregulation is another, where there were regulations about how many firms could act and what they had to do, and so now deregulation went in and changed things so there aren't as many rules about who can operate, and that takes away barriers to markets. We already talked about the type of monopolies, the natural monopoly, a technological monopoly. This is when a patent is issued, so you don't have to share technology. So if you come up with some new invention, you can apply for a patent, and then you don't have to share that till the patent expires. If you watch Shark Tank, sometimes those people have patents for their inventions. And we talked about a franchise. We already covered that. A license. This is something the government gives firms so they have the right to operate, especially with scarce resources. It's to eliminate people using up all resources, like fishing in fishing licenses and hunting licenses. That's for private people, but big giant fishing boats limiting the number of fish they can catch, so you don't make those fish scarce. And then industrial. This is when the industry creates its own type of monopoly, and that's that example of Major League Baseball. Then the book talked about non-price competition. What makes people choose one thing over another if it's not the price? And there were 4 examples there: physical characteristics, how the jeans look, location. Is it closer to you? Is it farther away from you? Is it by the beach? The service level. Do you get more attention? We did go to a nice restaurant for my birthday last week, and the service level was much different than you would get at like Harvey Hinklemeyer's. No offense to Harvey Hinklemeyer's, but we had crystal wine glasses, we had china plates. They brought a special steak knife. When my husband got up and went to the bathroom, they folded his napkin. So the service level was much different there, and the price level was much different there, but we made the choice to have the better service. And then there's advertising image or status. Do you buy the Gucci bag because of the status, or do you buy Air Jordans because of Michael Jordan, or LeBron shoes because of LeBron? And then advertising and marketing that makes something more popular. They talked about price discrimination in oligopolies or monopolies. Price discrimination has to do with market power. Market power is the ability to control prices and total market output. So those are those either monopolies or oligopolies that can set the prices, not the invisible hand, and how much they make. Examples of that are targeted discounts, like discounted airfares for certain times of the year or certain dates, manufacturers rebates. Menards has this all the time. You go to Menards and you buy something, and if you fill out the paperwork, you get an 11% rebate, which usually is in the form of a gift card back to Menards. So it's good for the consumer because they get a money back, but it's good for Menards because you have to spend that money back at Menards, and maybe you'll buy something you wouldn't have otherwise. Senior citizen or student discounts for movies or shows or things like that. Children fly free or children stay free at hotel promotions. Those are targeted discounts. That's price discrimination there. Why do they do it? Because they're going to make more money. Even though they have discounts, people are going to spend more money overall, and that's a profit. They're going to increase the number of consumers. There are limits, though. You have to have market power to do that, some market power. Distinct customer groups, otherwise people feel cheated. We all know what a senior citizen is. Under 18, you get that's a distinct group of people. And it can't be something that's difficult to resell. You can't buy the senior citizen discount and give it to a 20-something-year-old. And flying free, you can't buy a children fly free and then put a 30-year-old on there. So that's price discrimination. And then the monopolistic competition, effects on price. there's more of an effect on price in monopolistic competition than in pure competition because firms have the power to raise prices. That's the supply and demand idea and how they control that. But they can't do it as high as a monopoly because then consumers, it'll be too high and they'll lose, and demand will drop, and consumers won't purchase it. That's the idea of many substitutes. If steak is too expensive, people buy ground beef or they buy chicken or pork. Also, in the oligopoly part, what the problem is with oligopoly is collusion and cartels. Collusion is when firms work together to set prices. Price fixing, where the firms will get together and say, all right, we're going to sell, I think we should sell this for $20, even though $15 is the equilibrium price. If the four of us agree, we can make $5 more. And then cartels are groups. We often hear cartels when they talk about drug cartels because that's essentially the same thing. Groups of drug sellers get together and set the prices. But it's a formal organization of producers to coordinate prices and productions. That's what a cartel is. OPEC, that oil producing countries group, is a cartel. They get together and set prices. Both of these, collusion and cartels, are illegal in the United States. OPEC is different because that's an international group, but you can't have a cartel of, I don't know what, shoe companies setting prices like that. Okay, hopefully this will help you for the quiz. There is a Kahoot game also that, Book It, not Kahoot. A Book It game. I set it for 40. There's 20 questions, so hopefully that'll play through. You can answer each question twice. And then you will have the quiz on the 4th. Okay. If you have questions, let me know. There is a lot of reading. I tried to change it up so it wasn't the same thing every time. But here we are. Okay, hope everybody's doing well. I will see you on the 10th.